Alright, hey guys, how are y'all doing? It's been a while where I actually made a video to review on my channel, and I was thinking of doing it at exactly 200 subs, but then I realized that it's not really what I'm running this channel for, and I can say with confidence that I'm glad I decided that this channel is not going to dictate the way I dedicate myself to talk about certain things, like the especially Avengers Endgame. My review of that film, and my entire 5 out of 10 rating, which I was so worried about giving, and I was worried about people hating on my channel, and the dislikes. And also, as you can see, this video only has 6,000 plus views, when some of my even simpler straightforward videos actually have more than 10,000 views. And I realized at the time, if I had rated this film a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 and just followed something like IMDb's rating or followed Rotten Tomatoes rating, I would have probably got a lot more subscribers. I would have probably got a lot more viewers, a lot more likes, people sharing this and all that, because I was one of the earliest people to actually give a full spoiler review. I went on opening day to watch this film, and I came back and straight away released a review on it, I think on the very second day or something like that. And yeah, I mean, at least it was something. I put it out there and I wanted to be as honest as possible. And if I actually had leaned towards the critics, I would have probably got a lot more subscribers, a lot more views. But I'm so glad I did not have that in mind. I actually gave an honest review, I stuck to it, and now I feel that I really need to change something that I may have held back on at the time. So I made several videos on Avengers Endgame criticizing how its time travel had broken its own rules, how certain things were not possible, how the Mobius strip is not related to the concept they were talking about, and how the scenes and the statements made by certain characters also didn't really make sense. And then I made another video saying that Thanos should have technically won because of the situation they were stuck in, the fact that they didn't really have the Infinity Stones in that existing timeline, which means that it supports Ancient One's theory, where if the stones don't exist, it will create a split in the flow of time. And then I finally made a video of reading people's comments, because I was actually really happy about the positive feedback I got back in my rating for Endgame. However, I realized that YouTube was actually kind of shadow banning my video at the time. They wanted to keep my video quiet because they realized that a majority of people are looking for positive reviews, and since my video was not one of it, they were actually trying to shadow ban my video to some extent. And there were some people who actually PM me and told me, "Hey, do you know that your like your video and whatever, it's not really appearing on my notifications even if I'm subscribed to you." And I realized that that's a pretty interesting thing. And then I also made another video for the 50 plot holes in Avengers Endgame, and I had a reasonably positive reception. But once again, videos like this is what will hide away, considering the fact that there are other people who make like cinema sins. For example, cinema sins really bashed Endgame. They gave like a whole bunch of sin videos, and I mean sins, like a large number of sins, because they could actually point out a lot of the plot holes, but they had like hundreds of thousands of views because the channel is big. First of all, people are willing to listen to them. But if a smaller channel actually takes a poke at some of these films, you can get a lot of backlash. And I did actually have a lot of people who came and argued with me, but I also had a lot of people who actually came and supported, a lot of people that criticized possibilities. Plus, we were all pointing out facts. There's really nothing that we had to make up to make this film look stupid. It was already stupid in itself, and that is the most honest way I can be about it. And like, it's still it still blows my mind that Rotten Tomatoes at the time had given this film a 94% rating, and the audience had given it a 90% rating, and IMDb gave it an 8.4. Like, these ratings for this film absolutely do not make sense. A film that is absolutely full of plot holes. And I recently rewatched this film before I came about making this video. I decided, what, let's just have one more watch. Let's just see if things really lighten up. And it gives me the complete opposite effect of something like BBS, or something like what do you call this? what's that movie? Yeah, BBS is actually a very good example. Like if you rewatch BBS, the extended edition especially, you actually appreciate the film even more. Like each time you watch it, because you learn even more things in the film. But in Endgame, no matter how many times you watch it, all you find is more plot holes. You know, you find plot holes as to the fact that the Avengers actually have a new Gamora in their timeline, but they're not willing to go and bring back a new Black Widow. Peter Parker has to be 5 years younger than all of his buddies. Half of the world's population could not play, baseball or whatever. The stadiums were empty. You know, even with half the population, like 3.5 billion people don't play baseball or whatever. And there's just so many things that still haven't made sense, and they will probably never ever like want to refer to the point where they actually told Cap to go back and return the stones, because that is a film that they will not be able to make, because they really loop themselves on that. They Mobius strip themselves into that plot point, and they are stuck in that Mobius strip loop forever. So that is something that's hilarious now that I think about it. They have really kind of like I don't know, trap themselves, I would say. And they're trying to distract us with the Spider-Man movies and the Shang-Chi movies. I'm personally really excited for Shang-Chi, but I really think that I'm genuinely worried for the Spider-Man film, because as much as it sounds really nice that, oh, they're bringing back familiar villains and whatever, they still have not explained the void that was left behind by Endgame. How the fact that without the Infinity Stones, the timeline is still completely unaffected, and there's still a lot of other things that have not really like for example, the entire statement, as I said, made by Ancient One, the fact that without the Infinity Stones, the flow of time should be affected, but we don't really know what's really happening in that sense. And all of a sudden, Loki is being called in another TV series, another spin-off. Like, they don't really care about their logic. They don't really care about what they created that took them 10 years to create, that they destroyed in two films. Basically, Infinity War and Endgame destroyed everything that they had built, because the theories in those two films absolutely fell on itself. And so, yeah. So, finally, the thing that I really want to change about this is I had initially given this a rating of 5 out of 10, but I'm going to change that rating to this, a 2 out of 10. As I said before in the past, I usually do not change my ratings of my films. I feel that I usually make a very correct judgment to a lot of the movies that I have, and I usually take it as a plus minus one. Meaning, if I say a movie is a 8 out of 10, you can take it as 7, you can take it as a 9. It gives you that median of an answer. But I think in this film, I was being super defensive because I was worried about the initial backlash that I was gonna get. But I'm finally confident enough to say that I don't really care about the dislikes, and I don't really care about, you know, people shadow banning my channel because I'm talking the truth or whatever. I think it's time I actually just stand up and be clear and realize that this is what I have agreed to myself and promised myself, which is to always give you guys honest reviews and not be skewed by anything. And honestly, at the time, the 5 out of 10 I think feels justified, because it's a first time viewing, second time viewing. I think I watched it like 2 or 3 times before I made the time travel, like the breakdown or whatever. But this 5 out of 10 review was right after the first viewing, the very first viewing I made it. And after having watched this film like almost 5 6 times. I think I watched it almost close to, actually more. I think I watched it way more than 6 times. I watched it at least twice a year ever since it came out. And yeah, probably watched it more than 6 times. But anyway, when I do watch films like science fiction films, I'm super like high on my concentration. I try to look out for points. I try to look out for any possibility, because I love Christopher Nolan's films. I love certain films that actually like bring back something that they mentioned very early on to prove a point, or to tell you that, guess what, you missed out on this little thing that we had all along, and you surprise us with something that we didn't really observe, or we weren't really observant of. So I really like those kinds of films. And no matter how many times I look at this film, I realize that it's just, man, it's just so messy and so bad. Like, having Black Widow and Hawkeye conveniently being sent to return to get the Soul Stone. And then Captain Marvel saying there's a lot of other planets to defend. I don't really care about half the population in the universe, you know. And like Nebula saying, "Oh, I know where Thanos is," and then all of a sudden Rocket is the one showing the energy, what do you call this, spike, because he used the stones to destroy the stones. So Nebula's conversation made no sense. And then Nebula killing her past self. Apparently, she has a network that she's connected to, which is how a video was streamed to the other Nebula, which also makes no sense. So there's just so many things that I could keep going on and on for, that I think I should have made 100 plot holes in Avengers Endgame instead of 50. And probably at the time I was just like half-assed about the way I did it, because I wanted to take only the really really serious plot holes instead of more than that. And that's probably why I landed at 50. But I think I could have gone on to 100 plot holes and made this video like 2 hours long, and even if no one watched it, I would have still been proud of it. And I dare say that now. And yeah, I really want to say thanks and be appreciative to all the people who actually, understood what I was trying to, talk about in my videos, and understood that I had no ill intention and I had nothing against the Avengers. I'm a Marvel fan. Like, ever since I was in school, I used to like save up money. I had to save like what, 25 cents, 35 cents to go and buy Spider-Man comics when I was a kid. And I grew to like especially X-Men. I grew to like the entire X-Men, and all of this I liked before I even went to the Avengers. Like, I knew about the Avengers, but they were just boring compared to X-Men and Spider-Man, who actually questioned a lot more serious stuff. And eventually, of course, I liked the entire DC comics and whatever. And Watchmen was one of the latest things I haven't. I think I read Blade before I even read about Watchmen. And of course, there's so many things in between. But when I see a movie made with so many plot holes, it really like burned my soul. I'm not gonna lie. I was really unhappy because, quite frankly, the first two Avengers, as goofy as they seem, were actually better in terms of their story, because they were straightforward. They had a clear plot. They executed it. They may have had really lame jokes here and there. They may have some that landed, some that didn't land, but they went for a kill and they got it. They were very clear with what they wanted to do. Infinity War was really amazing. I really enjoyed it. I still feel that it is still a great movie. But the moment it came to the time travel theory, they absolutely destroyed it in Endgame, and I was so heartbroken. And what broke me even more was the fact that people rated this film like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. People were giving this film a 10 out of 10. For what? 100 plot holes? Like, just give me a sec. Let me get this. All right, like, look at this. This is Cinema Sins giving it a 104 sin total, right? So yeah, this is the 104 different things that they found wrong with it, and this is after they actually removed some sins for certain points. They were talking about some, Natalie Portman stuff and whatever, and they removed some sin here and there. Some, Thor meeting his mom or something. They removed a sin or whatever because it was nice and emotional. So they actually deducted some sins, and they still got 104. And yeah, they had like what, 9 million views. Crazy. But of course they have 9 million subscribers, so it's kind of understood. Whereas I can be proud to say that I only have 200 subs, but I have 1,000 views. Well, guess what, 99% of people who are watching my videos are not subscribed. Yeah, that's a fact for you guys. Think on that. All right, I know you people are watching without subscribing, and I don't like to be that guy to tell people to hit the subscribe button, and I'm starting to regret it. But you know what, I'm still not going to bother. You guys make your own decisions, right? You guys decide for yourselves. Just, like, my only advice to people is don't get like drawn into these rubbish by critics and feel that you have to agree to the masses just to be on the safer side. And I made that decision in 2019 when I decided I'm going to bash this film with all the facts that I have, and I'm going to continue to make videos to prove why this film is absolute trash. I drew out timelines, I explained why things didn't make sense, I proved the points which people can't logically go back to return the stones, to even the fact that they had to create branched realities to solve certain situations mean that for every time a person travels, they are actually traveling to a new branch reality. And to be able to target back the exact reality to go, man, it's just so many things that I could go on and on for. And how I said that Thanos should have technically won, because of certain things that he did and the way he does certain things, and how this old Thanos with his weapon also doesn't really make any sense, because what happened to his weapon after that, and where exactly did his fighting skills all of a sudden overpower Thor without the Infinity Gauntlet and whatever. All of that, man, all of that. And yeah, I am pretty happy about this little journey I made with Avengers Endgame, and I really want to know what are your guys' thoughts after more than 2 years after this film. I really want to know whether your opinions changed, whether you feel that the movie actually deserves its rating. You think that it's a really a great film. I always tell this to the people who come into my comments and say that they still think it's a great film. I'll tell them that I'm glad you think it's a great film. It's good for you. If you honestly like enjoyed it and you really think that it's a really good movie, well, that's good on you. But if you think it's a good movie because everyone else is saying it's a good movie and you're forced to follow or agree to them, I'm going to say that really sorry for you, because you can't think for yourself, you can't decide for yourself, and you will never be able to recognize a good movie from a terrible, terrible one, because you're just gonna just follow the masses. And let me tell you that Rotten Tomatoes is rotten. They rightfully deserve their own name, because they are going to keep giving these kinds of trash films maximum ratings, because they're obviously paid to, right? These people are so obviously politically driven that they will give whatever top ratings they can without understanding anything about a film. Here's why other really neat thing about Endgame, it really made me think of priorities in life and what or who is worth sacrificing for, especially loved ones. Like, are you kidding me? I think you're talking about the wrong film here, you know? And look at these people. Like, do these people even know anything about the Avengers, like outside this film? Like, if you were to take the critics in Avengers Endgame and take them to like a panel meeting of Marvel, like, you don't it doesn't have to be the comic specifically. Just ask them what are the Infinity Stones, like what do they stand for, like space, time, reality, power, all these. Just ask them that. They wouldn't be able to answer you, because they don't care. They have no idea what's happening in the film. They are just there because they got a free seating to watch the film, and they're going to give 10 out of 10 ratings, because that's what justifies them getting a seat in the next film, so that they're going to continue giving positive ratings without even thinking for themselves. And man, it burns me to think that this thing is reality, but it's what it is. There are always going to be these, corporates who are just paying people off to give reviews, and that's going to shut up the people who are actually going to be honest about things, because guess what? You're outnumbered. What are you going to do? You make a negative video, you're going to bash you, and that's what it is. So yeah, this is it for my little change of perspective, my little rant as well added. And if you ask me, is it a 1 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10? Well, that's up to you once again. I will give it a 2 out of 10. I'm just going to change this little rating. I believe this is the only movie review that I've changed the rating for, because, as I said, honestly, I was worried about the backlash, and I even spoke about it in the reading your comments video that I made, because I really told people that I was honestly afraid of the backlash of making this video and rating it so badly, that I just gave it like a few extra points for certain things. Let me tell you one thing I have to tell you about Avengers Endgame is the graphics in the film are off the charts, right? It is a beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous film, right? It is very nice. Every character, every actor that represents the character feels so good. Like, you could take a poster of any one of these characters and they are likable, right? The actors are really nice, they represent them really well, but your story and your logic behind it, the fact that you want to make something into a movie, right? Like, if you give me a poster of these characters, I will rate the poster a 10 out of 10. All right, you want to give me a little clip, a snippet of Black Widow using her batons or her electric, wrist, like the wrist gun or whatever. I'll give you a rating 10 out of 10. Spider-Man, the Iron Spider design, 10 out of 10. But to put this into a film, it's not just about characters in suits in high graphics anymore. It comes down to what your film is about. What's the story you're trying to tell? What are you trying to teach people? What are you trying to show to people? And yeah, I think this is rightfully it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. As for those of you 0.1% who are subscribed, thank you so much. Take care.